I've got a nice Garrett GTX 5000, 7500, 200. What's going on, guys? It's Will back with another video today. If this is the first video you're seeing on my channel, my name is Will. I make like car related videos and like hanging out with my friends, just kind of normal YouTube car stuff. So yeah, I've had a lot of questions about like some of the stuff on my car and some of like my wheel specs and just different parts on my car. So I figured I'd do a little walk around or like mod list video and answer some of the questions I've got about my car. So the first thing on my car that's definitely one of my favorite things on the car for both visually and performance of the car is my Fortunato 500 series coilovers. Gives the car a really nice look to it. It's lowered probably 2.5 inches, something like that. And with these wheels, which is the next thing I'll talk about, it looks really good on this car. These coilovers are just absolutely amazing. When you go around corners, they stay really nice and flat, and when you're driving in town, they feel really good too. I've actually got these coilovers turned up pretty freaking stiff. I've got them like almost all the way tightened on the little, you know what I'm trying to say. The thing on the top. I'm sounding like an idiot, but you know what I'm trying to say. I've got them pretty stiff, and even still around town, they feel really good, even being really stiff. So it's not really too much harsher than like a factory car, and for it being a Lexus, you definitely don't want to take that for granted and kind of make it this like hard like go-kart that just doesn't ride down the street very good. So that's one of my favorite things about the car. Next thing, moving on, is these wheels. These are my NK TS10s. These are 18 by 8 with a +40 offset. Had a lot of questions about these wheels. A lot of people wondering what size they are, because especially on the front, this is with no spacer or anything. They fit with like a 2-finger gap, and it fits really good. So it doesn't really rub too bad unless you have like a bunch of people in the car and you really like push it around a turn. But when it's just me driving, it doesn't really rub. It rubs like maybe once or twice when you're really pushing the car, but other than that, it doesn't really rub. And on these wheels, I have Hankook Venturis V12 Evo 2 tires. They're pretty long name, but yeah, these Hankook tires. I like these tires, but the thing is, and me and my friend Patrick have both noticed this, they're really good when you first get them, and then after about a month or 2 months or so, after you kind of push them hard a few times, they're like up here, and then they drop down to here, and they just kind of stay here, and they don't get a whole lot worse, but they're not like they're not like they were when you first got them. And I mean, I know all tires are gonna do that, but I've definitely seen some Michelins and my friend's Nittos that didn't quite do that as bad. I've had these tires a little bit and kind of experienced some spots where I'm like, I probably should have had grip there, where when I first got these tires, I definitely would have had grip. So I mean, they're pretty good, and for the money, they're really good. I guess they do pretty good in the rain and stuff like that. So I mean, you can't really argue with them. By the way, if you are interested in any of the stuff on my car, like my wheels, that's the main thing I've had people ask, even over from That Dude in Blue's YouTube channel. People are saying, what are the wheels, what are the wheels, what are the wheels, what are the specs, what are the specs? So I'll just make it easy for you guys. I have links to all the stuff, all my wheels and everything in the description. And I just get all my stuff off Amazon because everything's like so much cheaper on there, and it's just like normally free shipping on stuff that's like you wouldn't think free shipping. So yeah, I get all my stuff off Amazon. So same thing with the tires, the wheels, anything car related I can get, I'll get it there. So I'll have links to all that stuff if you want to check it out. If not, whatever. Next thing on my car is this window tint. It's 33%, which I want to do it darker, but at the time I was trying to stay legal. But my friends have kind of convinced me that it's not that big of a deal to go pretty dark. So I mean, it definitely made the car look a lot different. It made the car, I guess, but it definitely could be darker, but definitely like having the window tint. So you got the bar up on the top, and then just all the rest of the windows. The front window's not tinted. I'm not about that whole bubble kind of life of being like in a full tint little box. I'm not about that. So next thing on my car is, oh, behind these wheels is some Stop Tech slotted rotors with Stop Tech pads, and these brakes work pretty good. I mean, a lot better than factory, that's for sure. It's not like there's some crazy Brembos or whatever, but you guys already knew that. The initial bite's a lot better, I'd say, and they don't fade quite as bad as my other ones, which is actually why I got these brakes. My other brakes, the factory ones, were had started to fade pretty bad, or started to warp pretty bad, I'm sorry. So in turn they would fade, and they were already warped, so they would just like, it would just chatter and just all sorts of stuff. So I ended up, instead of replacing them with OEM, I just put some Stop Techs on there because it's about the same price anyways. So yeah, I really like these brakes. They work good. They look really cool behind these wheels. So yeah, love my brakes. Next thing on the car is these eBay headlights. I've got a lot of questions about these too because there's not a lot of people have them. I'm not really a huge fan of like the whole tint over the entire headlight. I like the look of the shape and everything of the stock headlight. I just wanted the housing on the inside to be dark with this clear. So that's exactly what these are. It's exact replica of the factory ones, just all the stuff that used to be chrome for the most part is now black, and the outside is clear. So I got these off eBay for pretty cheap. Some of the headlights I looked at were like a good few $100, and these were like $180, I think. So can't really beat that, especially when my other ones had started to like fog over and everything. And speaking of fog, was these fog lights right here, which were also pretty fogged over. So instead of trying to fix them, I already tried to do that, and they were just too far gone and couldn't get them any better. So I ended up putting these fresh, clear fog lights on there. I know a lot of people like the yellow fog lights, and it does look kind of cool, but I think I like that nice, clean, just no really color on the front look. So definitely one of my favorite parts. Really brought the whole front end looking a lot better. So the next thing on my car is my exhaust setup. I've had a few people tell me they really like my exhaust, and I had questions about that. It's an Apexi N1 catback with a Megan Racing catless Y pipe, and then stock headers, because I've never heard this other than on this car. And if you guys know why this is, please leave a comment and tell me, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because I've always heard you don't want back pressure, but apparently on this motor you need a little bit of back pressure for low end torque. So they said if you go completely catless and do the headers and the whole exhaust, then it'll be too little back pressure and it'll have power up top, and then you won't really have any down low. So I like that kind of around town torquey feel to it, so I left the headers for now, and probably won't change them unless I go like really crazy with the car and do a bunch of stuff to it, obviously. And by that I mean like boosting it and like all that stuff down the road, but that's like probably pretty far down the road. So yeah, this exhaust sounds great. I'll put a clip of it right here. Sounds great, as you can tell. I love it, love how it sounds. It kind of pops every now and then, like not big pops, but like kind of like gurgles and like stuff like that. Everybody knows stock IS300s are basically the slowest thing on the planet. So obviously I changed that, and I've got a nice Garrett GTX 5000, 7500, 200 turbo on here with some BC cams, and that's good for about 1500 horsepower. So she really gets down, you know, when you put your foot into it, it definitely moves, you know. And going along with that turbo, I've got this engine intake on the car. Next thing on my car, I've got a ton of questions about this for good reason, is my Mishimoto radiator. This radiator is just replacing my old one because I had a huge crack in my factory radiator. And most of the time, if something breaks on this car or goes wrong, instead of replacing it with OEM parts, I just like to replace them with nicer like modifications and stuff that are just, it's gonna make the car nicer overall, because it's generally not a whole lot more expensive. So that's just how I like to do it. So this radiator broke, put the new one on. I like it a lot. It's aluminum, it's wider and thicker and the whole 9 yards, so it definitely works a lot better. But there's a big disclaimer with this radiator. When I got it, my idiot self got the freaking manual version, which I'm pretty sure is the only one they had. So the manual version of this radiator only has 2 hookups, and the stock auto radiator has a hookup for the engine and for the transmission. So we go to install it and we have the whole thing in there and everything. We go to hook it up and it's like, oh shoot, where's the hookup? So we had nothing to hook it up to. So basically what we had to do is I have a Mishimoto trans cooler. I don't know if you can see that, but mounted right down there. I have a lot of questions. People see that and they're like, what is that? Because it's not really like full-on intercooler status where it looks like an intercooler. It's kind of smaller, and like if you know a little bit about cars, you can tell it's not an intercooler, but you can tell there's like something up with it. So yeah, that's my transmission cooler that we basically just had the radiator for the engine and then a whole standalone unit for the transmission. So it's kind of an accident that ended up being actually pretty cool in the end, because now they both have their own separate cooling, so that's good. And it actually, as far as looks wise, is actually kind of one of my favorite parts about the car. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it just looks really cool. I'll try to zoom in so you can see it. I don't know if you could or not, but it definitely, shoot, zoomed in there. That's not good. So moving on to the interior of my car, the first thing you're going to notice is obviously that I have an auto, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is. And on top of this auto is actually, I've got a lot of questions about this shift knob right here. And this shift knob, believe it or not, a lot of people saw it on That Dude in Blues channel and were really wondering about it. So yeah, believe it or not, this shift knob is actually, I made it myself, me and my dad. It's kind of a combination of, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Ryan Turk shift knob. It's like, it's about the same height and it's round, but it's not hexagonal like this. But I really like how that shift knob looked and I thought it was pretty sick. But I wanted it to be hexagonal but about the same size as the Ryan Turk shift knob. So that's what I did with this, and we just threw it on the lathe and made them ourselves. And I never really had the intentions of selling these things. When I made it, it was kind of just like I wanted one just like that, so we just made it like that. But I've had so many people asking about this shift knob and wondering where they could get one, so I'm just trying it out and seeing if you guys want them. Like, I know a lot of people have said they do, so if you want one of these shift knobs, I'll have a link in the description where you can get one. They're machined aluminum and made right here in the States, made by me. So yeah, pretty cool shift knob. If you want to pick one up, there'll be a link in the description. Next thing in my interior is an absolute must, and that is my radar detector. I don't know if you guys have seen the video I did on radar detectors and whether or not you need a radar detector. But in my opinion, if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and tell you right now. I say in the video that you definitely have to get a radar detector. This is the Passport 9500iX, which I totally recommend this radar detector. It's got a GPS feature in it, so when you're driving, you know, on your daily commute or like your normal part of town that you drive in on a daily basis, it will learn all the false alarms like CVS or Walmart or like a gas station here or there, whatever, that have radar in their doors. It'll learn that stuff, and once you go past it 3 or 4 times, it won't do that anymore. So definitely love that feature about this radar detector. And I think for a daily car, this is the radar detector, you know, that compared to like a Valentine one or something like that. The next thing in my interior is this, I think it's called a nano mount or something like that. It's basically just a magnetic phone mount, and I'll show you. Just put your phone, you can just kind of throw it up there like that. It just sticks to it because it's got like a little magnet on the back like this, and then this is magnetic, and you just kind of throw it up there and it sticks. So the next thing in my interior is this Pioneer head unit. I don't remember exactly which one it is. It's some combination of letters and numbers that I can't remember. It's just a good all-around double-din touchscreen head unit. Nothing too fancy. It doesn't have Apple CarPlay and all that stuff like some of the crazy nice ones. It just hooks up Bluetooth to your phone, and the stock IS300 sound system is really good in my opinion for being a 2003. So this head unit kind of gets the most out of the stock speakers in the car, and having the Bluetooth on there with a combination of this. I just throw my phone on there and the Bluetooth does the rest, and my music turns on. It's great. All right, so that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully I've answered some of your questions that a lot of people have asked me about the car and my wheel specs and that sort of thing. And like I said earlier, if there's anything you guys want on my car, want to check out and see more about my specs or that sort of thing on like my wheels, I have links to the description if you want to check all that stuff out. But if you guys have any more questions, make sure you drop them down below in the comments, and I'll definitely get back to them and answer your questions. So yeah, if you like this video, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I make like car videos and hanging out with my friends doing car stuff, that sort of thing. So yeah, if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next video.